All right. Hey, what's up, middle school? How you guys doing today? Good. Hey, that was actually pretty good for 9 o'clock. You should be proud of yourself. Everybody awake now? No, I got some front row people that are like, yes, and back row people are like, no, put me back to bed. Anybody here been quarantined the last 2 weeks or the last 3 weeks? Quarantined. Okay, a lot of people have been quarantined. What about e-learning? Raise your hand. Okay, almost everybody. Do you guys like e-learning? No. You don't get to see your friends. You got to sit in front of a computer all day or half the day. Okay. Well, I hope and pray that you guys can be back in person at school soon and can be through all this stuff. I want to tell you guys a story. You guys like stories? Yeah. Okay, good. Jasmine, I like that. Okay, so I want to tell you guys a story, but before I tell the story, I need to ask you guys a couple of questions, okay? So first off, raise your hand if you enjoy getting into trouble. Be honest. Raise your hand if you like. Even April back there's raising her hand. If April can be honest, so can you. Okay, a couple over here. Stella, my man. Okay, anybody else? Okay, yeah. I got some people that are like, yeah, okay. To be honest, yes, I do like to get in trouble. Okay, anybody else? Last chance? Okay, Max, thank you. Thank you for getting into trouble. Okay, so second question, okay? Second question. Have any of you ever been grounded from getting into trouble? Grounded by your parents. Literally, you can't go hang out with your friends. You can't go anywhere except with your parents wherever they're going to go. Anybody here ever been grounded? Okay. So you've never been grounded? Grace Ann, you've never been grounded? Wow, you must be a really good kid. You're not? I was just going to say I'll have my daughters hang around you. And then you're like, I'm not actually like getting into trouble. I just didn't raise my hand. Okay, so a lot of us have been grounded here. Anybody been grounded for 2 weeks? Maybe 2 weeks from video games. Anybody been grounded for a month? A month for anybody? 2 months? What? Okay, I got to ask now. Okay, what have you been grounded from? Just confined to being at home for 2 months? What was it? For a month long? Okay. For more than a month long? Okay. What about you, Carson? How long have you been grounded? 4 months? What? What did you do? Take your dad's truck out for a spin or something? I mean, for 4 months, I might have done that. Don't get any ideas. Yes, Chloe, you've been grounded for longer than a month? Okay, what did you do? What did you do to get grounded? Okay, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Okay, so you received a pretty harsh punishment for not eating what was put in front of you. Okay, a while ago. Okay, we're past that. Okay. Yes, Landon. You didn't clean anybody here not clean their room very much? I can't help it. It's dirty clothes. Okay. All right. So I remember getting grounded one time. I've only been grounded one time in my life. I would like to say I was a good kid, but I had 4 sisters. So the truth is I just got away with a lot. All right? I got away with a lot. I got 3 younger sisters, 1 older sister. Okay? And so the time that I got grounded, this is what happened. So we're outside playing on, we had a huge playground, like the big, the swings, but the really tall ones, like the really long ones you can go really high on. We had a setup like that in like a playhouse, a big playhouse thing. And so we would always like play tag on the playground, right, as kids. And on the swings, we just had like some little pebbles, some little rocks down below. So it was semi-padded, okay? But on the swings, if you were on a swing, you were actually in the safe zone, okay? So if you ran to a swing and you're on that, you couldn't be tagged, okay? And I was it, okay? But I remember one of my sisters was on the swing, okay? And I came up behind her, and she's swinging, right? And I was like, hey, you can't stay on there forever. And she's swinging back and forth. And I came up behind her, and I pushed her off the swing, all right? I know, terrible. I pushed her off this swing. I wish there would have been a video. But she face planted on the rocks. And, of course, like, I was just, I know, Wow. Yeah, way to go, Luke, youth pastor. I tried to like cover it up, like, dude, like I was trying to tag you. You were on there too long. And then of course, what do my sisters do? They tell on me. They snitch. I don't know if it's a snitch if you actually did something wrong, but maybe it is. But that the forceful action of me pushing one of my sisters off the swing, probably the one I picked on the most, my second youngest sister, Amy. Love you, Amy. But they were upset at me. All of them were mad at me. And so they went to my mom. My dad was going to work. And my mom kind of ran the house. Anybody have a family where the mom kind of runs the house? She kind of makes the rules? It's okay. It's fine. Okay, a lot of us do. Andrew, your dad's in here, bro. Okay. So they run, they tell my mom. And, of course, I'm making excuses, right? What am I doing to get out of it? Making excuses, lying, maybe a little bit there. And my mom is going to believe all my sisters, right, over me. The only boy. And, of course, like, they're going to believe this happened. So I got grounded for 3 weeks. And I wasn't used to getting grounded, right? I said that's the only time I ever remember getting grounded. Like I said, if I did something wrong, I usually got away with it, especially with my sisters. But I did not get away with it this time. And I got grounded, and it was terrible. And this was before the time of phones, okay? I was probably 12, 13. I didn't have a phone. So it's not like I was, grounded from being able to talk. I was grounded completely from the outside world, okay? I couldn't talk to my friends. If you didn't know this, I was homeschooled. So I was literally confined at home for 3 weeks except for church. Okay, 3 weeks. Has anybody ever been grounded? You can't use any technology. You can't see your friends or anything like that for multiple weeks. Does it suck? Yes. Right? I see Spencer back there holding up his brother's hand. I love that. He's like, yes, you grounded me, you jerk. It was terrible, right? It was terrible. And I thought the 3 weeks were never going to end. But you know what? I think the reality of what happened is I was reaping what I sowed. Have you guys ever heard that? You reap what you sow? You ever heard that phrase before? All right. So if you sow something, if you plant something, what's going to grow? If you take care of it. What you sow, right? You reap what you sow. So what I did, I was reaping the consequences for. What I deserved, whether I was like, dude, this is too harsh, or this isn't fair. And I knew I did it, so it probably was fair, but I thought, 3 weeks, come on, I've never been grounded. Has anybody here ever been spanked before? Your parents ever spank you for discipline? I am so proud of almost every parent of y'all. How dare you? I know, I got spanked a lot until the point where I started laughing, right? And then I got whipped. No, I'm just kidding. Then I got grounded. So if you've been spanked before, that's one thing. Temporary pain, you're mad. But if you've been grounded, you got to deal with it. You got to deal with the emotions. If you keep a bad attitude, if you keep sowing out things you shouldn't say, things you shouldn't do, what are you going to reap? You're going to get grounded longer. You're going to have more taken away. You're going to have more consequences. Right? And in this series, 5 cards on the table, we've been talking about a lot of things, right? We've been talking about the different hands in a poker hand and how God gives us different things. He gives us the best hands. He gives us His word. He gives us prayer. He gives us a family of believers right here. You know that this family right here, these people that are sitting right next to you, could be the people that could be there for you for years to come. No matter how much you think, man, this friend's going to be there, friends fade away, but God's family doesn't fade. We're stronger when we're together. So we've been talking about all those things, and today we get to talk about a card that nobody wants. So think about a card deck. What's the card that nobody wants? And a card that's often thrown out of the deck. No, not a 2. The Joker. And when you see the Joker I don't think we have a picture of this, and that's fine, but when you see the Joker card, what do you think of? What does the Joker look like? He looks like Batman, okay. What else does he look like? Yeah. Oh, like a gesture. Okay. Yes, what do you think of? A gesture? Anybody think it looks like like maybe like the devil's been portrayed? Maybe. Not as much? Okay. 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 Yes. It looks like the guy laughing at you after you got pranked. That was all my sisters, right? Even though I didn't prank them. They're all laughing at me. Okay, but yes, it's the Joker. And there's a lot of card games where if you're playing cards and you get a Joker, you throw it out. It's a redeal. You got to do it over. Nobody wants a Joker card. There's not a lot of card games and even poker where the Joker card is used. And today I want to talk to you guys about the consequence of sin. And I want that to be represented by the Joker card. So I want you to think about your life and everything that God blesses you with. Shout it out. What are some things that God blesses you with? Yes. Friends, houses. Ooh, nice. You got a condo? Yes. Your brother. Okay? Yes. Your mama. Yes. Love my mom. Yes. Someone else. What are your blessings? What's family? Yes. Life. Yes. Love. I like that. Getting a little deeper now. Yes. Video games. Yes, we're getting so deep here. Video games. Wow. No. Okay, money is nice. Money is nice. Okay. Live a life. Nice. Okay, so there are a lot of things God blesses with. And you think about your life as God saying, hey, here's the cards for your life. Here's all the things I'm blessing you with. And better than all those things you just said, with the exception of love, God says, here's my word. Here's who I am. Here's how you know me. Here's how you have a relationship with me. Maybe you've accepted Jesus or you're thinking about that. You're thinking about what does it mean to get baptized? And you're like, man, what does it mean to follow Jesus? God tells you what it looks like to follow Jesus. And what about prayer? That's our communication with God and God's communication with us. That's another card that God has blessed us with. The best cards. But there is one card that exists in there that I don't believe God gave us, but that's sin. And that's that Joker card. And you guys know what a consequence is, right? Help me out. What do you think a consequence is? Good. Oh, dang it. It's on the screen. Dang it. You gave it away. I'm just messing. Sorry. I should have said don't show it. My fault. Okay. A consequence is a result or an effect of an action or condition. So help me put that in very simple terms for us. Yes. What's the consequence? Trouble. Something happens because of what you did. Yes. Consequences of your actions. Yes. A punishment. Who here likes punishment? Just kidding. Okay. Yes. Oh, okay. All right. Interesting take on that. So, Chloe had an interesting thing to say. I want to try to come back to that. Chloe said a consequence isn't necessarily a bad thing. It isn't always necessarily a bad thing. And in this definition, we see that it's a result or an effect of an action or condition. So, depending on what you do or what happened, what action takes place, there's a reaction, right? There's a consequence on the other side of that. But when it comes to sin, remember this. You can choose your sin. You can choose your sin. You can choose to be mean. You can choose to be prideful. You can choose to do things that God doesn't please God, or things that even don't please your parents at home that of course don't please God. You can do things and choose your sin, but you can't choose your consequence. Did you guys know that? You cannot choose your consequence. You can't choose your consequence. And I remember getting grounded, and I also remember another story. Can I tell you guys another story?
Yeah.
Okay, let's be quick. Okay, I think I was 9, 10-ish. Stayed at my friend's house for a full week. Their family had 6 boys. Needless to say, best week of my life, right? Best week of my life. My parents had gone on an anniversary trip, and I stayed at my friend's house for a full week. And one night, while their parents were gone, the 2 oldest boys in the family out of the 6 were babysitting me and the younger guys. And so, as teenage babysitters at that time, all they did was sit on their computer and play video games and yelled at us and told us to stop doing this, stop doing that, right? But my friends, the younger guys, we started running around crazy. I mean, we were throwing stuff at each other, not like crazy stuff, but like we were throwing clothes at each other. Like we were running everywhere, and we kept doing it. And the oldest brother, who was the main one in charge, kept saying, guys, cut it out. You have to stop. And then he'd go back to his computer game, right? But he kept saying it over and over and over. And we're like, dude, you got nothing. Like, you got nothing on us. Like, what can you do? You're like 16, right? Or we take it to the second floor and, think that he didn't know we were playing it up there. And anyway, so we're being wild, we're being crazy, and then the parents come home later and they find everything out. But the mom doesn't really know how to punish me because I'm not her kid, okay? So we sit down, get a stern talking to, and it was weird because I was still kind of like, ha, dude, I'm off the hook. Not like, you can't do anything to me. But then my parents get home. There's a phone conversation that happens, and then randomly, one day, my mom tells me to come in the bathroom, and she asks me about this thing that happened, and I'm just like, crap, I'm busted. And she spanked me pretty hard, and I felt the consequence of my actions, even though I thought I'd gotten away with it. Even though I thought, man, like, I got a stern talking to, my parents aren't actually going to find out about this. No, it was serious enough where she was going to wait till they got home and say, hey, while your son was here, he's a menace. He did all these things. And I reaped the consequence of that, right? I had to call and apologize. I had to be on extra good behavior many times after I went to their house. And I was reaping the consequence of my sin. Because really it was sin, it was disobedience. Right? And did you guys know that disobedience, anytime you disobey your parents, someone put in charge of you, did you know that is sin? That is actually sin against God. Sometimes we don't think about that. Like when I was that age, a little bit younger than you guys, I just didn't think, man, this isn't really sin. This is just having fun and being crazy, and I'm not going to listen to you, but this isn't really sin. But really, it was. And did you guys know sin actually hurts God's heart? Did you guys know that? It hurts God's heart. It hurts his heart. It causes him pain. And there's something about sin that's very, very serious that I want to talk to you guys about. And it's this: sin is expensive. And I want to read you guys this quote about sin being expensive. Sin is expensive. It's incredibly expensive. The price isn't paid, though, in cash or a credit card. It's paid in mental, emotional, and spiritual pain. God didn't create an arbitrary list of do's and don'ts to see if we could follow them. God didn't create a list of rules to just say, hey, can you do this or can you not? No, God laid out a guideline for us for living, a way to live. God has an anger towards lying, and I want you to listen to these. Some of these may stick with you. Lying, stealing, cheating, coveting. That means wanting something that someone else has. Jealousy, pride. All those things, all those behaviors, all that sin destroys relationships. So anytime you sin, your relationship with someone can be damaged. Do you guys know that? Anytime you sin, your relationship can be damaged. If I go home and I yell at my wife because I'm mad at her about something, I am sinning, and you know what I'm doing to the relationship? I'm damaging it, right? I'm breaking it. So what you do can damage relationships. The consequence can be damaging. And everything that the Bible says is sin is something that God tries to protect you and me from. So don't think about sin in the sense of, man, it's a list. It's here's the good, here's the bad. I just only can do the good. God wants you to do what is good. But he wants you to do that because he's protecting you from what is sin. God's desire is that you would have love and peace, grace for each other, that you would have a great relationship with him. But sin is a defiant rejection of all of those efforts. And why? So that we can satisfy our own selfish desires. I am a selfish person. If you've ever been selfish before, any time in your life, raise your hand. If you've ever been selfish about anything, you've ever said, no, my way's better, that is everyone in this room. You put your hand down. Maybe you don't struggle with that every day, but you might when you think about, man, I don't have time to do my homework. I'm going to get on my phone. I'm going to play my games. Yes. Man, I don't have time to clean my room. It's my room. Don't worry about my room. Who bought the room for you? Oh, snap. You paying rent? Your consequences for sin, there are consequences for sin when you're selfish. So if there's one thing you guys take away today, remember, man, when I sin, I am being selfish. So how do I not do that? What are some of the warning signs so I can not do that? I want to talk to you guys about 6 signs that show that you're not wanting to get out of your sin. So if you have any sin in your life, you're selfish, you're prideful, you have something hidden in your life, you have something you're struggling with, you have somebody you're resentful toward, somebody you don't like, somebody you're like, man, I hate them. That breaks God's heart. All those things break God's heart. All those things are selfish. They all come from in here. But God wants to change us from the inside out. But there's 6 things. And hold on to these things if you got any of these things, guys, because you got to give them up. You got to give them up to God. You got to give them up to God. Here's the 6 things that show you're not willing to get out of sin. One is no change. You won't change your ways. I've had that in my life where I won't change my ways, where I'm stuck in my sin. I won't change my ways. What about no remorse? Do you guys know what remorse means? It means sorrow. If you're remorseful about something, you feel badly for it. You feel sorrow for what you did. If you don't feel bad about your sin, that's a red light. And just because you're in middle school, I've been there, doesn't mean you're exempt in any way from sinning. You may think, man, I don't have really problems in my life, but there's always sin that always tries to come at us at different places in our life, right? There's always sin. So if you don't want to change, if you're not remorseful, if you justify your sin, kind of like I did with my sisters, right? I try to justify it. I didn't really push her off the swing, right? She fell off the swing, or I justify it. Man, she was on the swing too long, like she was pushing me around. Whatever you say to justify it. I didn't do that. It wasn't me. It was them. We are really good people at justifying our sin, aren't we? Sometimes. Making excuses. Man, imagine how much better your friendships would be and your schools would be if you weren't somebody that justified sin. If you weren't someone that's just like, oh, that's okay. Oh, that's all right. That's not a big deal. Justifying your sin. Another thing that shows you don't want to get out of sin is if you repeat it, if you do it over and over. I would call that an addiction. I would call that a habit of sin. Do you have any habits of sin in your life? Maybe that no one knows about. That you're just like, I've done this a while. It's not really a big deal. I've had a habit of sin in my life before where I repeated it. And you know what I did whenever I thought, man, I have to stop doing this? I always thought about the people that did it more. I always thought, man, these people, they do this more than me. So I don't really struggle with it. It just happens every once in a while. That's justifying your sin and you're repeating your sin. Another one is you look for others to side with you in your sin. That's friendships. Maybe you look for people that will laugh at the thing you show them on your phone that isn't what pleases God. Maybe it's maybe it's coarse jokes, bad jokes, dirty jokes, things you say that you're like, oh, I can hang out with these people because they laugh at it. And you're like, well, they side with me, so like I feel into it. I've struggled with that too. I've been right in the middle of that. Maybe you're sitting there right now and you're like, man, my friends said some of those things and I've just sided with them in the sin. I haven't stood up for what's right. I haven't run in the opposite direction of that. Maybe you blame someone. Maybe you've sinned and you've hurt someone. Maybe you just blame them. Man, they are the problem. They've done everything to me. How could this happen? Can any of those things, can you guys relate with any of those things? You've not wanted to change. You've become numb. You're not sorry about your sin. You justify it. You repeat it. You look for others to be on the same team with you in your sin. You just carry around that Joker card and you're like, well, put it in my back pocket. I guess nobody can see this sin. Oh, they're all doing it worse than me. You know? If you don't have a phone yet, I'm just going to say it right now. This thing right here is going to catch you up in sin if you don't be careful. Right? Your friends, the world around you, what they do, this is something the devil will use to catch you up in sin. You have to be careful of that. You have to know God doesn't want you to have that kind of life. And you don't have to side with others and say, oh, I'm in this group chat or I'm in this or whatever. Oh, because I'm doing that, it's fine. Everybody's doing that. Everybody has this app. Don't get caught up in that, guys. Or else sin will always be right next to you. That Joker card will always be right in front of you. And you'll not know what to do with it. You'll not know how to react to that. But there's three things, okay? So if you struggle with any of those things, it's all right because God has hope for you. And there's three ways that you can change. The first is you can confess your sin to God. Have any of you ever told God you're sorry for sin in your life? Ever prayed and say, God, please forgive me. That was wrong. Okay. You know what we should do? Keep your hand up. Each of you holding up your hand, should ask God to forgive you for your sin every day. And he already has through Jesus on the cross. But that should be an active thing that you're saying, God, please forgive me. Anything I've done wrong, anything I've looked at wrong, anything that I thought that's wrong, please forgive me, God. Put your hand down. We got to confess that to God. Proverbs 28:13 says that people who conceal, what's concealing? What's a conceal and carry? Conceal and carry. If someone has a conceal and carry license, I'm glad you don't know what that is. If you have a conceal and carry license, that means you can put your gun and hide it. You can conceal it so no one knows you have a gun on you or a small pistol in your. Okay, yeah, okay. Or if you have a small one, you can put it in your pocket or whatever that is. You can hide it. If you have a conceal and carry permit, you can do that with a gun. Don't even think about it. You ain't getting one for a long time. Okay, But people, it says, Proverbs 28:13 says, people who conceal, that means who they hide, they don't let anyone see it, their sins will what? Will not prosper. Prosper means to be blessed, to have a great life, for God to always be pouring into you. If you conceal your sins, what does that stop you from? Prospering. So I don't care how big of dreams you have. I do care. I love the dreams that you guys have. But honestly, at the end of the day, I don't care how big of dreams and hopes you have for your future if there's sin in your life. Because you know what that's going to do? It's going to keep you from those things that you want to do and ways you want to serve God. If you think you can just come to church and put on a good face and just be with your friends here, but then go back to school and do whatever you want and be in sin and have your phone and be in sin and whatever sin is in your life, you think you can do that and prosper in life? You're fooling yourselves, guys. I've known that in my own life. that what I've done outside of a ministry job or outside of a church circle, that it has made me feel pretty crummy knowing that I've been a hypocrite. If you conceal and hide your sin, you will not prosper. But it says if you confess and turn from them, you will receive mercy. So you got to confess your sin to God. So maybe before you walk out of here today, you need to just say a little prayer. You need to stay in your seat for a few seconds and say, God, I need to confess some sin to you. Chaz, maybe when I end here in a few minutes, we can just throw in a little background music and we can all have a chance to do that. We can just pray for a second to ourselves. We can ask God to forgive us. The second thing you can do, you can remove and replace your sin. Remove it. If your sin is your phone, get it out of your life. Threw into the curtain so it'd have a nice padding. Get it out of your life. Right? If it's money so you can buy stuff all the time, stop caring about it. If it's bad friends that cause you to sin, get them out of your life. Tell them that you have a calling from God and that you want to follow God. You don't want to be in sin. And even though they won't understand it, God will bless you for that. He'll show you mercy. Whatever it is, get it out of your life. All of it. Bad jokes, your phone, back-talking your parents. Get it out of your life. Watch the way God will bless you. And the third thing you do is avoid it. Okay? You got to avoid it. You can't just say, man, I'm just going to toss this out. No, you have to actively go in the opposite direction. Do you guys know what it means to repent of something? You know what the word repent means? What does it mean? Turn back. Turn away. So, if Landon's causing me to sin, which way should I go, Landon? That way? Away from you, right? And what happens if you follow me and be like, come on, bro, what am I supposed to do? If you're the sin in my life, I'm supposed to keep going, right? Supposed to keep going. Supposed to avoid the sin. I know that seemed extreme, but seriously, guys. Because if you think, man, it's fine, this will be over here. You will still struggle. It will still be a temptation. The Joker card will still be right there in front of you. So you got to confess your sin. You got to remove and replace your sin. You got to avoid it. And we're going to close up there. We're out of time. But for a few moments, here's what I want to do. I'm going to pray, and then Chaz is going to put on some music, just some light background music. Maybe we can even turn the lights down a little bit. And just before you guys go, just sit in your seat if you don't mind. If you want to. If you don't want to, it's okay. Maybe just stay in your seat for 15, 20, 30 seconds, a minute. Just ask God to forgive you your sin. Ask God to make you clean and let him work in you. Okay, so I'm going to pray. We're going to turn on a little bit of music whenever you guys have that ready, and then we're going to spend a few moments doing that, and then we're going to go, and we hope to see you guys later for life groups at 4, okay? So let me pray.